When you see Phillip Rivers starting, what goes through your mind as an evaluator about the state of quarterbacking in the NFL? Todd.
It feels like every year there's an additive property, right? From college to the NFL. And we saw just a couple of years ago, 6 quarterbacks drafted in the top 12 and they've had in various states of success. And we saw a few struggle as rookies that are bouncing back as second-year players. Obviously, Jaden Daniels taking a step back with the injuries this year. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams taking a step up. Drake May continuing to ascend and playing close to MVP status. And Bo Nix now with a 2-loss Denver team. So there's a lot of positives. And I feel like I know the quarterback play keeps getting better and better. And I think it goes down to like the 7-on-7s and the high school development into college and moving on to the NFL. But is the development where it needs to be? And are quarterbacks coming in and are they ready all the time? And we saw, and also the organizations drafting these quarterbacks. I mean, I'm looking at the draft order now again, mm-hmm. Rich.
Yep.
And it's the Giants, the Raiders, the Titans, the Browns, the Jets, if the draft were headed today. Don't you feel like every year we're meeting around this time and we're talking about the same teams in the top 10 in terms of the draft order?
Yeah, there it is, right there.
You know, organizationally, are they equipped with the supporting cast, with management, with coaching to develop some of these young quarterbacks? And I think falling to a team like Denver at the 12th pick was the best thing that could have happened to Bo Nix. What would his career look like if he was drafted by the Jets or the Browns? I mean, that's a question that we have to ask ourselves every single year.
That's the nature versus nurture, right? I guess, but I'm talking about, in a sport where everybody's, as you point out, even the 32 are still sometimes in a riptide looking for their first string quarterback, that there's hardly any depth, right? I mean, the depth is occupied by backups in the league, and how well are NFL teams equipped to develop those backups and third string quarterbacks when the practice limitations and practicing with the first team. So we could do a whole 5-hour series on the most important position in sports and how we're handcuffing the development of these players. But I will say, this year's crop doesn't look great because we got a lot of guys that are deciding to go back to school. And we got a handful of guys who, quite frankly, just didn't play to the level this year. I thought Garrett Nussmeier from LSU was going to have a big year, be a top 10 pick. Wasn't the case, dealt with injuries all year long. Cade Klubnik took a step back at Clemson. Drew Aller took several steps back from his performance at Penn State. And so we're left with a class now where Fernando Mendoza looks like potentially the number 1 overall pick, coming off of the Heisman, phenomenal season, has all the traits. Now we enter the college football playoff, and we've got 2 quarterbacks that, if they make a run and things end well, with some uncertainty with coaching staff situations, in Dante Moore at Oregon with his offensive coordinator taking the head coaching job at Kentucky, and Will Stein, and with whatever seemingly is going on with Caleb DeBoer and with Alabama. Do they make a long run, Oregon and Alabama? Ty Simpson is the Alabama quarterback who could be a first-round pick, but is only a 1-year starter, entering into his 14th start. And Moore had 5 starts in 2023 at UCLA before taking a sabbatical year and having a breakout year under Will Stein at Oregon this year. So 2 inexperienced but really talented quarterbacks that could be first-round picks this year, and would be probably a year from now if they had great years. But everyone's looking and saying, you know what, maybe I buck the trend and go into the NFL as an inexperienced quarterback versus being part of that group next year that could have Arch and Lenora Sellers and could have Julian Sayin and could have a DJ Lagway off of a transfer portal and all these other, Sam Levitt, Jaden Maeva. I mean, there's so many quarterbacks for next year. It's shaping up 2027 to be one of the best quarterback classes ever. And so do we want to put our hat in that ring or leave school with inexperience and test our luck in the NFL because we know we're going to get that 35 to 39 million guaranteed over a 5-year span and speed up that second contract? Well, we already know what the New York Jets think about it, Todd McShay, because they told the Dallas Cowboys, give us our second one for Quinnen Williams in 2027. So clearly they're looking at the quarterback class and potentially not even thinking about 2026. Who the heck knows? Todd McShay, the McShay Show podcast, as well as The Ringer.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we also saw
I'm just trying to reset you. I'm just trying to reset you.
No, I got you. I'm all worked up. I get it. But we saw, like, Les Snead isn't an idiot. Like, he made a smart move to move out of the first round last year because he had an aging quarterback who's played better than most people expected this year and doesn't look like he's anywhere close to the end necessarily in Matthew Stafford. And so they made an organizational decision to, let's trade out and get a first-round pick next year because there is Nussmeier and maybe Arch is ready. And there is Klubnik and Aller and all these other guys and Lenora Sellers. And now it's being pushed back a year. So now we're looking at a top 10 right now with Cleveland at 4 and 2 first-round picks, Jets at 5 with 2 first-round picks, and the Rams with their trade from Atlanta, who traded up to get their pass rusher last year, their linebacker, and those 3 organizations are in the top 10 needing a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And so you wonder, one team is going to get Mendoza. Dante Moore and Ty Simpson are, I would say right now, it's more likely they're not in the 2026 draft than they are in the 2026 draft. And so could we see teams trying to move out to try to get involved and get extra ammunition next year in 2027 when a lot of organizations in the league thought this was going to be a great year too?
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.